Welcome
Well,
back, everybody.
hello.
Hi, Chris. Been a while.
Yes, hello, Abby. Good to
Good
see you.
to see you as well. And I'm excited for recording tonight. It does feel like it's been forever now that we're skipping weeks, but I think it'll be a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm Abby Rose.
And
This
I am Chris.
it's Chris. It's Abby Rose. This is why I'm sober, and we are glad you're here to be with us for our podcast. So
Yes.
um tonight. Oh, before we start, always we like to start with our disclaimer. We do talk about real life things, things that could be triggering potentially, just because it's just real life and things that happen with addiction. I'm not quite sure what's going to be said exactly tonight, but just like to give that just in case people know we're talking recovery, we're talking real, we're talking authentically the journey of it all. So. Tonight I was thinking about, well, honestly, it's just been a really rough couple of weeks for me as far as just life happening, and I've found myself feeling more vulnerable at times as I've been just processing a lot of different things, feeling overwhelmed. And it just got me thinking about how much, I'm in April will be 7 years sober from alcohol. And I still get those moments of being so triggered and feeling like I could really use a drink right now. And this last little season has, the last few weeks in general have been just super heavy to where I have found myself, even tonight, feeling like I just could use a shot right now. I could just numb for a bit. And then I have to
Mhm.
remember, I have to reflect, I have to look back, I have to grab everything out of my toolbox and say, that's not what we want to do because we know what comes from we know it comes from opening that door even a crack. And even that little addiction side of my mind that's like, oh, but you could probably do it and it'd probably be fine. And you're probably
Mhm.
way now that you wouldn't find yourself in that rut. It's like, I don't want to find out the hard way that I can't handle it. And so it's just got me really reflecting on how when we get sober, it's our first step. It's our first step in a very long journey of rebuilding and finding ourselves again and learning how to cope with life because life's always going to be happening. It's not going to be perfect. Getting sober isn't the quick fix for all of our problems to just magically go away. It would be nice if that were the case. I think we
Mhm.
all could agree that that would be really fantastic, but that's just not reality. There's always going to be curveballs. There's always going to be things that are harder to process that we're going to have to really dig deep to make it through and maintain our goals of keeping aligned with not using something that we've tried to make permanent space with. So I was curious, Chris, on that note, like what are ways that you deal with life coming up and different ways that you get through as you're rebuilding and healing and creating a life beyond our normal, oh, I just get drunk all the time because I can't get hungover or like we talked about, like just I won't be hungover if I'm constantly drunk or whatever. Now we're in a life of I'm sober, I'm facing life. Like what are the ways you get through that to tomorrow when you're having a shit day and things are seem to just be so heavy and weighing on you?
Yeah, wow. Great questions. Well, I guess first off, let me start with just saying like, yeah, yeah. I mean, I understand that, things have been, I think things are tough for a lot of people right now. And I know you've been going through some stuff that's it's testing you. And so, just, like, yeah, so, you know, you're doing great.
Thank
And
you.
that you're surrounded by love and support. And
Very grateful.
so just, and I'm you're going through a bunch of stuff, but I think that's it's almost like a good thing. Well, it's first of all, it's a wonderful thing that we're like doing this tonight and talking about this because yeah, like I mean, in my opinion, the first thing that I need to remember when I am really triggered or really struggling, or you know, having a craving, is communication, like reaching out. Like, we always call it the 1,000-pound phone call because in moments like those are the ones where that phone feels like it's 1,000 pounds, and then if you actually pick it up, then the words coming out of my mouth to actually say that I'm struggling and that I need help, the burden of that weighs 1,000 pounds in and of itself, right? And so I think
Yeah.
just, one of the first things that I do is make sure that I reach out to somebody, right? Anybody, like, you know, I am in a program. I have a sponsor, right? Um, and so, that's sort of like first line defense, but, you know, sponsors aren't on call doctors. So, sometimes they're not around, and that's totally fine. Like, but to have that list of people, like, you're on my list. Like, if I was really struggling, like, I would call you, you know what I mean? And,
Always.
like my girlfriend, I would call her, and my
Yeah.
parents, I mean, I just, and I think the hardest hurdle, especially really early in recovery, and I'm still really early in recovery, but like, I'm talking like the first few months when after I got home from treatment and sober living, was like, realizing that I'm not a burden, right? Part of my addiction, a huge part of my addiction, a huge part of my codependency was, I am just going to sit here in the corner of my garage by myself and drink, and I'm not going to bother anybody because I don't want to be a burden, right? And so getting over that hurdle first was like really important for me to understand. And then, just to add to that train of thought, in retrospect, now that I look back on it, it's like, holy shit, how much of a burden was I actually being on people because of my destructive lifestyle? You know what I mean? And so it was like, damn, if I would have maybe back then, when I was deep in it, if I would have reached out, then this wake of destruction that I left in my path might not be as harmful as it is, right? And so I think just really understanding. So, I mean, I guess for anybody that's listening out there that, struggling or is really vulnerable, or, just unsure about, what sobriety feels like, or supposed to feel like, or what's like, I mean, I'm not the end all be all, but I mean, I'm almost 3 years sober, so I feel like I have a little bit of experience to share, that, you are not a burden. Like, pick up
Yeah.
that phone, like, reach out, because for me, that was like the first step, and then I think really just realizing it, and if you're taking this concept just a little bit further out, like, you mentioned, like, dropping the substances in the booze is like the first step. And, if you're running a, a marathon, the first step off the line doesn't mean that you won the race or that you even finished the race, right? Like, so,
Right.
the same kind of concept, if you're thinking about, like, okay, I dropped this destructive substances from my life. That's step one, and that path is fucking long, and it's right, because it's the journey never ends, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the hardest step, that getting that first step, I think, is the hardest. I mean, this is why, you know why the relapse rate is 85%, for people that are on this journey. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
this to discourage myself or you or anybody listening, but it's like, that's the reality of it. And, but once that first step is done, like, we have to really give ourselves grace, and we have to reach out to people. And I think we have to really ask for people to give us grace, right? Because I mean, we call it our sober dates, we call it our birthdays for a reason, right? Like, my real birthday's February 2nd. Yeah, I'm February 2nd. I turned 45, right? But on May 17th, I'm turning 3, right? And because
Yeah.
that'll be 3 years of sobriety. And so, if you really, like, actually break it down, if you attach, like, biology to just the term, like, think about a 3-year old, right? You can't send them out into the world and expect them to, like, survive. And then if you even trace that back even further, like, I think about, like, the first 10 days that I was in rehab, I was basically in a coma, in detox, right? I mean, I was immobile. I mean, I tried to move. I'd literally crawl on my hands and knees to go to the bathroom and throw up, because that's all I did, and I couldn't eat. I tried standing up. The first time I tried standing up, I fell over and broke my ribs on the bed. So if you think about a newborn, like, 10 days old, right? Totally, totally dependent on others. I needed my nurses. I mean, they fed me a steady diet of Ativan and Valium, and, feeding, like, basically feeding tubes, right? Because and saline. And I mean, I was like, if in that condition, you would have just put me outside, like 5 feet outside the front door where I was, I would have died. I mean, there's just, and it's the
Hey.
same thing. If you had a baby, you put them outside the hospital, like they would perish. You know what I mean? And then in those first few months when I was, the first, I mean, I was in treatment for 45 days, and after that for 30 days in sober living. But like in those times, I was so dependent. I mean, my it wasn't like I was the same as like a 2 month old or something, but like it's really like when you call it our birthday, like we are reborn. Like we have to relearn everything. In my case, I had to relearn how to walk and like function. And then
Mhm.
I got out of detox and went upstairs was what we called it. And then I had to relearn how to socialize with people without having a fucking beer in my hand or being
Right.
a BAC of point 0.3. You know what I mean? Like and it was just all relearning. And it was like, and I was just a sponge. And the first time I went to rehab, I didn't believe any of that. I was like, I just need 30 days sober and I'll be able to be good again. And the second time I went, I was like, damn, like this is, I'm like a newborn. I'm a 42-year-old newborn, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
depended so much on everything. And it's not just learning, like basic skills and sobriety, but it's like learning how am I going to like sustain this for the rest of my life. And it's
Yeah.
so vital in those first few months. And even now, like 3 years in, and I still have, yeah, I have cravings. Yeah, I get triggered. Yeah, like life strikes and shit comes out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like people die unexpectedly, or you know, um, you're sitting there and you look at your bank account, there's nothing in it, and you're like, an old me would have been like straight to the liquor store, right? Straight to
Mhm.
isolation, straight to just, my old coping skills, unhealthy, albeit, but coping skills. And
Yeah.
so this, on these first few steps and stages of this path that we're on, like, yeah, like it's just all about like relearning how to like integrate back in society as basically a totally new person. I mean, I was just talking about this with somebody
Yeah.
yesterday. I was like, sometimes I look back on old me, and it's almost like I'm watching some old movie of some character that I don't even recognize, and I have to remember like that was me. But it's like, damn, like I'm still the same like physical body, and I have the same soul, and I'm sure I have the same core values as I did, but like I would just my core values were just drowning in alcohol for decades, and so get that all out of me and like relearn how to like live again. um you know yeah, like so again, if anybody's listening who's like real early in recovery, even fucking 20 years in recovery, people, I mean, you're 7 years, you're
Yeah.
still dealing with the same stuff that you probably dealt with early on. I am too, but I think just as time goes on, we do cultivate, like you said, this toolbox, right? And like, so I guess anybody's out there, like, just give yourself grace. And for people who are listening that might not necessarily have a problem with alcohol or drugs, but know somebody who does, like, grace, man, get love, show them love. Like, I think one of the worst things that people can do is they might scold, like, I'm going to scold you into sobriety. Like, fuck you.
Right.
Like, you're moving out of this
Yeah.
house until you
You
get
did
clean.
this to your life, so
Yeah.
suffer.
Like, yeah. And I guarantee you, whoever you're talking to didn't wake up one morning and was like, yeah, I'm going to fuck up my relationship with everybody in my life.
I'm gonna burn
Like,
every bridge.
yeah, right. Like, it's just not the way it
Yeah.
works. I don't, part of the reason why we're doing this is to try to, let people know, like, it's a disease. And
Yeah.
it takes over us as human beings, takes over our brains, it takes over our bodies. And those that hijacking of us as who we are, like, it manifests as us like isolating and pushing away, and like being inappropriate to other people, and breaking laws, and all these things. And it's like, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like, it, I mean, I feel very blessed that I mean, I had plenty of people that scolded me because of it, and I had plenty of people that told me they fucking hated me because of it, and I don't blame them, right? But luckily, I
Yeah.
had people that also welcomed me with open arms and believed in me, and supported me and my journey. And um, yeah. So anyway, I know I'm like rambling here, but like, to go back to your original question, what do I do? I really think about those things a lot. Like, one, I reach out, and two, yeah, like I do. I think comparisons are unhealthy in sobriety, in recovery, because as long if we're comparing me to you, or my trauma to your trauma, or my years to your, you're like, you know, we all got addicted in our own. So like, we're going to recover on our own, right? So some things that
Right.
work for me and not work for you. But like, um, uh, yeah, sorry, I just lost my train of thought there for a second. But like, I don't know, anybody that's like listening, like love, like treat people with love. We might not agree with their decisions. We not might agree with their behaviors. We might hate their behaviors and their decisions. But at the end of the day, like they're still the same person that they were before they were inflicted with this disease. And it's I just don't think that like punishment or cruelty will get anybody to like wake up one day and be like, damn, I really need to get better because like so and so mean to me about it. Right. It's like, hey, it's I believe in you and I love you. And I'm here to support you. And then it's all needs to be said. But so
Or even
surround
if they don't support you, they can say, I love you, good luck with everything. I'm not
yeah,
going to add more burden to your life by
yeah,
shunning you
yeah,
publicly.
yeah. Like, I'm not gonna give you money. That's fine. That's a
Yeah.
fair boundary. I'm not gonna give you money. I'm not going
Yeah.
to enable your behaviors, but I'm going to give you love and support. And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is like one, reach out, two, surround yourself with those people, right? Like, eventually you'll be able to make your amends to those that don't want anything to do with you anymore, right? But how many times have we said it, Abby? Like sobriety, recovery, our worlds get really, really small, right? And we realize very quickly like who supports us and who doesn't, right?
Hmm.
I mean, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Like, hey man, fucking just drink just one, bro. It's like, okay, I don't need you in my life now. Like, I don't hate you. I love you, but I can't be around you anymore because you
You're
don't
peer
support
pressuring me when I'm volatile and
me, right? Like, and so, um, and then so those are more like general things, but like in the moment things, right? Like, yeah, I do a ton of meditation. I do a ton of grounding. I build the fuck out of Legos. To me, I put on, like one weekend I was struggling real bad. Like it was actually like 2 weeks I was struggling real bad. And I said, you know what? I literally turned my phone off. I put on The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings director's cuts. So they're like 4 hours each. And I watched all of those back to back to back to back. And I built like three of these Lego sets. And it just
no,
grounded me and it got me out of it. I didn't think about my craving. I didn't think about my trigger, right? But okay, but again, like, not everybody can sit around and do Legos. So, I mean, or, like take a weekend off. Like, so I think just really, really relying on, the tools that I've built, right? And even if I just need to walk around the block for 5 minutes, right? It's better than sitting there thinking about my addiction for 5 minutes, right? Or being, triggered. Harm reduction is something else. Like, I never smoked, and then I stopped drinking and I started vaping. Why? Well, Freud would call it an oral fixation, right? But for me, it's putting something in my body that I know it's not very healthy, but I sure shit, I'm not going to die from withdrawing from this, right? You know, uh, I, you know, I found these things. I don't know if I can make an advertisement here. I'm not making an advertisement, but
sponsored.
pop tea. It's tea. It's 0 calories, 0 carbs, no alcohol. It's iced tea. It's brewed with hops, so it tastes kind of like beer, right?
Yeah.
And
Those
I'm
are
sitting there. I'm sitting there sipping on this right now because I graduated today and I'm done with my master's program. This is how I celebrate. This is what sobriety looks like, or this is what celebration looks like in sobriety. I sip on a fucking iced tea that's carbonated. You know what I mean? But
and
that works.
congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, and I'm not trying to like gloat about that or
No.
anything, but I'm just saying, like, this is how I celebrate, right? Like,
But you wouldn't have graduated if you didn't get sober either. So I want to
no,
touch on that. That's
not at
really
all.
cool.
Not at all. Um, so long story short, rely on those who support you, rely on your experiences, compare. Oh, that's what I was saying about comparison. I compare myself to my old self. I don't compare myself to anybody else, but I compare myself to my old self. And when I'm sitting there and I'm like, because I mean, I can throw a rock from my backyard and hit the liquor store. That's how close I am. And
Yeah.
I could easily on a week like this week where I don't have my daughter, right? There's nobody watching me. The only person holding me accountable is myself. And
Yeah.
I've had that thought before. I'm like, I could just go over there and get a half pint. That's it. I'll bury the bottle. I don't know. But then I have to think about, okay, think about yourself 3 years ago doing this. I know sure as shit that one half pint, that's going to turn into 6 months and probably death at this point. I always tell myself I don't have another relapse in me. I will die. So, and so I like play it forward, right? I play the domino effect. Okay, this, right? How am I going to feel in an hour? How am I going to feel tomorrow morning? How am I going to feel in a week? What does my life look like in a month if I go get this one drink? I'm not going to have my daughter. I'm not going to have my house. I'm not going to have my job because that's the
Yeah.
reality, right? And so right then, and just thinking about it, putting myself back in my, sitting in my recliner in my garage by myself in the dark, bawling, like trying to kill myself by drinking. I know where that one drink leads me to, and I nope, not me, not for me. I'm done, right? So anyway, Abby, how
Huge.
about you? On
No,
for so
thank you for
long. I'm
sharing.
sorry.
No, thank you for sharing all of that. And I appreciate you've had me try those hop teas. In fact, thank you for sharing and it's been
Yeah,
a big for me too. Just even tonight when we had got together for the stickers and we
yay,
were talking old stories and you mentioned malt liquor and I'm like, oh, malt liquor. I'm already just like, oh, that sounds so nice.
yep.
But
And what did
getting
I do? What did I go get you?
yeah, right here. A
There you
hop
go.
tea. And
Yay.
honestly, it helped because it was just like I could have that crispness, the hops, and not have to. I can still look myself in the eye at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's the main thing. I'm the same way as far as just it's me against myself. It's not, oh, well, other people know. It's, oh, I will know. I will know that I know how much work it took to get to almost 7 years. And I do that same. I kind of just look forward and I look backward. I look from
Mhm.
where I've come. I remember the feelings of despair, and then I look forward of what do I want to continue for myself. And that's that's still kind of a tightrope sometimes because sometimes if I'm in the pit of despair, then I'm like, I don't even care. And then I have to really dig into the toolbox of, okay, so let's regroup here. What are we really trying to accomplish with this despair you're in right now? Um, because it is too much to lose. I don't want to also end up not having my life anymore because I opened a box I can't close again, and that's my biggest it is a fear. And for me, I definitely find myself, I'm kind of naturally introverted, maybe amnivert, is that what it's called, where I can do social things, but I still tend to kind of need to recharge. But when I start to get overwhelmed, it kind of freezes me. It kind of gets me in a space where I'm kind of frozen and I kind of retreat even farther
Yeah.
into my introvert hole. And so I have to just constantly check in with myself if I find myself getting to a space where I'm too disconnected. It's it's when I need service. I like to be of service when I'm feeling really vulnerable. I like to do yoga. I like to work out, things like that. So my body's moving. So it's pushing that energy through me when I'm really feeling like super vulnerable to a craving. And I said the past few weeks, honestly, it's been a fucking rough season since like December of just total trust fall into the unknown and
Mhm.
really in discomfort zones to where it's the perfect space for somebody like me that could just crack and be like, I don't even care anymore. Like, who even cares, And so it's been a really good tester as far as my willpower and what I want to continue forward with in my sobriety. And I've had to check in with myself a lot. And I talk to my guides. I feel um, very connected to my spiritual team around me to where I just talk to them. I've had a lot of good cries in this last season of just stating my concerns and asking for help and support and asking to just get through another day and not giving up on myself and not hiding in a hole and not throwing away all of my progress because I'm overwhelmed and just ready to be done with trying because life can get hard and hectic. And I've been really getting into the tapping different ways, the tapping EFT,
Yeah.
and I journal a lot. Journaling helps me a ton. My music, I definitely sometimes just have to have a good cry and play my guitar while I'm just
Yeah.
processing the feels. But just even when I'm not crying and I'm happy, today I was just feeling a little emotionally strained and been processing some things that are new. That's the thing is all of these things like I liked that analogy of, being an infant and like working your way through as this new individual facing life soberly. It's there's times when I just feel like, I don't know, just so unsure. And yeah, so today I was just these new things that come up. It's like I wasn't prepared to feel this or process this with a sober mind. Like, what is like, how do people do these things? Because it wasn't,
Yeah.
things wouldn't have even surfaced before because I was constantly numbing and pushing them down anyway, right? So it's like all of these new ways of coping that it's just um being able to like I went and practiced for a set I've got coming up this week and just singing. Like I got to my friend's house and I was like fighting back tears and like swallowing them. I get there and I'm just like trying to like not be a freaking buzzkill for their day. I'm just like it's fine, everything's fine. And then we started playing and I started singing and it was like, okay, like this is why, like this is another.
Release.
Yes, like this is why we're sober. This is why I continue to do this because instead of going to the bar, going to the liquor store, going and just wrecking my world, I did something for myself. I didn't cancel practice like I fucking wanted to, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm honest. I'm honest with myself when I'm feeling down. I'm honest even with my kids. I got home this afternoon before I went to practice and I don't know, like I said, I've just been processing a lot. And so I was just letting myself feel, sidebar too, letting myself feel it. Because when
Yeah.
I try not to feel it and I run from what I'm feeling, that's when I put myself in more danger
Yes.
to totally just like let my life go. That's when I'm gonna go grab a bottle because I'm not letting me feel until it explodes. So I got home and I'm just like, I cried a little on my way home, but then I just got home and I'm just like, because I'm just learning, I'm in a season where I'm learning to let go. I'm learning to release. I'm learning to trust that like everything is as it needs to be. And it can feel vulnerable and scary. And so I got home and my kid's talking to me and I braid her hair and we're talking. And then she needed me to go take her to the store. And I was like, honestly, okay, but like, do you have a plan after that? Because like, I'm actually kind of feeling depressed and sad right now. And I wanted to go in my bedroom and maybe cry a little. And she was like, oh, okay. Like, no, like, it's cool. Like, but I don't want to be driving around town all day. I need a good 45 minutes to like
Yeah.
just feel what I'm feeling. And
Yes.
I thought of it after I'm like, should I have told disclosed that? But yeah, she needed to know where I was at in that moment. She needed to know it wasn't her. And I needed to be real about I couldn't just put on the, okay, let's go. This is great. La da da. And because I wasn't feeling that in the moment.
No.
And I'll be damned if I don't let myself feel what I'm actually feeling so that it can actually just process through me and I can continue forward. Again, I cannot let myself get to the vulnerable spot where it's in the muddy water area.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up some really good points that when I was on my diatribe that I forgot about that. I agree with you. I think um man, like just being honest, open and honest with others and ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean, think about what do we do when we're deep in the addiction, right? We escape, we avoid, we lie, we manipulate, right? And
Yeah.
so if we start in sobriety, whether you're like a day in or 3 years or 7 years, right? If we start to feel those things, right? I think being honest with ourselves and others about what's going on is because we're not as because think about it. What do we do for our entire lives besides the lying, manipulating, and all that stuff I was talking about? But like we we escaped by drinking or using. Like here's
Yeah.
life, here's some shit. Nope, right? I'm going this way, and I'm gonna go hide. I'm gonna go numb.
That's hard. I'm gonna go get drunk.
Yeah, right. And so
Yeah.
in sobriety, it's like the amount of energy that we put into our addiction, like we have to like tenfold that in sobriety because this life doesn't stop. Like life is still happening, and it's like okay, that option's off the table, right? I mean, it's never off the table. It's always there. As a matter of fact, in those moments, it's really screaming at you to like, come here, right? It's like, okay, I gotta like, yeah, right, like, gotta like hush that, that static,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna sit, and I'm gonna sit with this, and I'm gonna like, surf the urge or whatever you want to call it, and be
Yeah.
open and honest, and I'm gonna process it healthily and those around me, hey, no, yeah, I do need to go have a cry in my room for 30 minutes. Like this isn't you.
Yeah.
I'm having a rough day. Like those are all the exact opposite of what we used to do, right? We used to, instead of avoiding an emotion or avoiding something hard, we dig into it. And we we sit there with it, right? And we reach out to people and we're honest with them. And the other thing I forgot to mention, you said, your spiritual characters, like, I said I meditate a lot. When I meditate, like, to me, like, I'm not like religious, like a religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. And I think that having that, I call it meditation, other people call it prayer, but I think like really having that conscious contact with your higher power is really important. And
Yeah.
that's what I do when I meditate. I sit there and I just have a conversation and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I
Yeah.
mean, like,
I need some outside perspective here
yeah,
and clarity
help.
and some peace. And can you hold this with me because this is fucking heavy? And
Yeah, right. And so
yeah,
that helps me, And then
yeah,
again, I think the connection you mentioned, same thing. What else do? We lie, we manipulate, we escape, avoid, and we isolate. Like connection
yeah.
is the opposite of addiction, and like this is why 12-step programs they work, right? That's why they're all over the place and they're all over the world because at the very least you're going and you're sitting in a room with people that are like-minded and are dealing with the same stuff, right? Like so,
Yes,
there's that like like doing this with you. It's I mean this is connective, right?
absolutely.
Going to counseling and sitting in groups. Like I know there's this huge taboo with like counseling and going to therapy and like doing groups and they can be scary and all that stuff. But listen, I've done thousands of hours of groups and counseling as a client. And now in this new profession, I've done hundreds and hundreds of hours as a counselor. And the regardless of whatever stage of change somebody's in, if they're very resistant to being there or they're like totally bought in, the the feeling of the room in those moments, it's just there's a power in that just I can't describe it. And I mean, I'm sitting, I'm a counselor with 3 years of sobriety, and I'm sitting in a room with people who couldn't even make it through the weekend. But we're sitting there and we're sharing our experiences and we're learning from each other. And there's a solidarity there. And, I mean, anybody out there that's struggling or, and you're like, I don't fucking need counseling. Whoa, what? Give it a shot. Like nobody has to know. There's HIPAA rules and there's laws in place to protect your privacy, right? Like, and give it a shot because there's power in whether it's a 12-step meeting or if it's a counseling group, or even just sitting with somebody. Like God, it's just being
Or even
able
if
to
you go to
just
a life coach,
what's that?
or even if you go to a life coach,
Oh
someone you
yeah,
could just
life coach, mentor, anybody, just somebody.
having
There's
somewhere you can openly talk about how you are feeling in
yes,
that moment. There is power in just being heard and being
there
seen.
is, and there's so much freedom. Like it's so freeing.
Yeah.
I mean, I run groups and I get so much out of it myself, and it just
Yes. Oh
catapults
yeah.
my motivation to stay sober and be, and continue on this path of recovery, and to watch people around me doing the same thing. It's just, it's amazing, and it's unfortunate there's such a huge stigma surrounding it because it's life saving, right? It really is, and yeah, so connection, right? Connection with
Yeah.
yourself, connection with a higher power, connection with somebody. And the more because the thing about it is our world whenever I say our world gets super small in sobriety, like that can be very scary and that might actually you know distract people from their goal of being sobriety. But here's the deal: it gets small but then it starts to grow again. And
Yeah.
you have the power and control to intentionally place people in your life that you want in your life. And these
Yeah.
are people that support you and they love you. And if you meet them at 12-step meetings or if you meet them in a counseling group or
Yeah.
whatever, like it's your world does get bigger, but it's so much better, it's so much stronger, it's so much more secure. And you don't have to worry
And it
about the people who are gonna like tell you, oh, you just need just one, bro. They're not even there anymore. They're in the rear view, right? Like so,
does. And that I was just going to touch on that. It doesn't mean you can only add people into your life only if they're in recovery and only if they're sober and
no,
only this. It's just you get to choose. There's going to be those sober allies. There's going to be those people that you can go out with and they're drinking and they're not going to make you feel so pressured or so uncomfortable or so any of those things. And that's the power of, yeah, getting to create your world. I agree entirely. You get to actually build a support system around you that is nourishing in every single way.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, we relinquished our power and our control to our addiction and to people who enabled our addiction for decades. At least I did. And
Yeah.
and now I've harnessed my power and control back, and I have control over me now. I can't control anybody else. I can't control anybody else's thoughts, behaviors, how they think about me, what they're going to label me. But what
Right.
I can control is my response. And it's like my response is like, cool, I love you, but see ya, you're not a part of my life anymore. Oh, you support me, even though you like to have a glass of wine or a beer with dinner. Hey, that's cool. You're not pushing on me, and you understand where I'm at, and you understand when, certain, you respect my boundaries. I'm going to let you. I have the power and control now to let you into my life, right? And that what a freeing feeling that is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Um,
I
phew.
think they're really cool to be able to even just share both of our perspectives with this because yeah, you've 3 years is incredible, by the way. Like don't even dump like that's huge. And I want people that are 3 days, 3 minutes, like it is every single moment of creating space with it is so big. And I think that we'll be able to continue to share with each other as friends as the years go on of different things we face in new seasons of our sobriety that I'm sure in 20 years of my sobriety, like I hope that, like everything willing, it all aligns that I'm still on this path because I'm sure there's going to be new experiences in life that I'm like, damn, I've got it. Like, this is something I didn't think that would trigger me, or this is not something I thought I should be strong by now, or, any of those things. I
Yeah.
think we're going to always have to face them. And I think continuing to find the tools that work for us. And I'm sure there's going to be different times and seasons where different tools work better for us,
Yeah.
and which, in which,
100%.
oh, yeah,
Yeah. And we have the power to keep growing our toolbox, and we have the power to keep surrounding other people around us that support us. Like that's the
yeah,
beauty of it. We're not locked in this like desperation hole anymore. Like
yeah,
right? It's like I wanted to start painting. What did I do? I went and bought a bunch of paint, some canvases, and I paint every once in a while. Whatever. Like I'm not good at it,
love
but
that.
hell, it's something to do.
Painting
Super mindful, and it's awesome, right? Like I never thought
it
in a million
is.
years I'd be like a painter, but it's like I can do that. I can intentionally focus my energy on things that are going to help support me. So that's we're not stuck in a bottle or in a meth pipe anymore, right?
Yes,
We're free.
exactly. Honestly, I just feel really grateful and I really appreciate that we had this chat today and our chat prior to this. Um, when you're getting me stickers and gift cards, it'd be cool. Get me some gift cards.
Yeah,
But no, when we were talking, when I got our business cards and our stickers and just the chats that we're having now, like I just really appreciate all of this because it's like, like you said, connection, but it really has helped fill my cup a lot too. So thank you so much for this conversation and the conversations we always have. It means a lot and I appreciate it. And I appreciate that we have a space where we can talk about it and share it with others. And I just really want to say to anyone listening who is struggling with addiction, anyone who's rocking it at recovery, anyone who is recovery curious and starting to kind of dabble, anyone who is not struggling and can still use anything and but has other loved ones that are struggling. I just really hope that if you're listening in whatever stage in life you're in, that hopefully it's helping you to just even give perspective to a loved one who's going through it, that maybe they are overwhelmed and not talking because they have a lot going on, or, just giving people grace like we talked about in the beginning of this, but just also understanding that it's a forever journey of learning how to live life without that crutch. And it's okay. It doesn't matter how long you've been on this path. To know that it's not going to be perfect all the time, hopefully gives you some at least strength in knowing that you're not a broken person just because you're going to have days that aren't always feeling the greatest. And hopefully it helps encourage people to not give up on themselves or not give up on others. And it definitely helps my heart and my strength in staying moving forward with my sobriety still intact. So thank you, Chris, for everything and for the space. And thank you, listeners, for giving us the space to share and be a part of.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome, and thank you. And I'll reiterate, like, thank you for all the love and support that we get. I mean, we started this out of some simple conversations, laughing about some of our stories and stuff, and but I think we really, at the core of it all, we started this brand because it's a brand. Like, this is why I'm sober. It's a podcast. Obviously we have the store and stuff like that, but like, we've got goals to like really break the stigma and build. We want to have a rehabilitation facility here in the Four Corners area, but like, at the end of the day, like, if one person is listening and they you know gather up the courage to step into a meeting, or go check out a counseling facility, or pick up the phone and call somebody that, I mean, if we can touch, if we can just touch lives in that aspect, that's the purpose for why we're doing this. And I think that, for even just us, just like, you coming on here and like being very vulnerable and sharing and modeling what it looks like to say, yeah, life doesn't stop, and struggles don't go away, but like, this is how we healthily handle it now.
Yeah.
You know, it's just doing this alone is just is motivating for me, and having these conversations, and just knowing that that you know we're building something here that it hopefully will really positively impact somebody's life out there one day. And um yeah, so thank you for being on this journey, and thank you all for being on this journey with us. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, but yeah, excellent topic today. I think it was probably really needed for both of us to have. And
Likewise.
hopefully really needed for somebody out there to listen to. So
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, that was a great another round for This Is Why I'm Sober.
Yes.
And thank you again, Chris. And so looking forward to seeing you all again in 2 weeks. Thank you for showing us all the love on our page, and we love the feedback. So
Yeah.
keep it coming. Stay safe out there, and we'll
Yep.
see you next
Yep.
time.
Absolutely. See you guys. Take care and have fun.
Yay!
All right. Bye.
Bye.